Welcome back. My name's Adrian.
My name is Aaron, and Ricky is back. What to say? Hi, Ricky.
Hey, guys.
Ricky.
Honored to be back. Thank you.
Oh,
Yo,
man, it's
man.
an honor to have you.
It's like we felt like there was something missing, and we just had to have you back. So welcome back, man.
Yeah, it's good to have you here, man. It was a really good show last week.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Speaking of last week, let's do a quick recap. So
Sure.
last week we had Ricky on. He spoke about Ricky therapy.
Oh, yeah.
The 5 R's of Ricky.
5 to
Therapy.
7. 5 to 7?
Oh, it started out as 5, ended up being 7.
Or was it 11? No, were we up to 15? No, I think it was just 7, right?
It was 7, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Quit messing with me. It's been a long week. So it was the 7 R's of Ricky therapy.
Yeah.
We're getting a real good response about that episode.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would like to check it out, find your way to our website. That's one way you can listen. That is
Mm-hmm.
at www.2, the number 2, TEACH1.com. Again, that's www.2, the number, TEACH.com. If you'd like-
one.com.
the number 1.
The number 1, right? Just want to make that clear. But if you're looking for us on iTunes, right, it's the number 2, the word teach, and the word 1.
That's
right?
correct.
That's correct.
And that's
Okay.
that's across the board. Whatever, wherever you listen to podcasts, that's where you can find us.
Fantastic.
That's right. So that's the number 2, TEACHONE, and you should be able to find us.
Yeah. And when you do find us, please take a moment to subscribe. And if you have anything that you want to say to us, we're looking for feedback on our website. We'd love to hear from you. We're trying to create a community of people who are dedicated to living their best life. And if you think that's you, just introduce yourself on the website. We'd love to hear from you. And let's get rolling with this. What do
If
you
not on the website, definitely find us on
yeah.
Facebook and Instagram.
That's right.
Our handle is,
To teach one.
that's right. So it's TWO.
TWOTEACHONE. To teach one.
That's right.
Yes, that is our moniker, as they would say. The erudite would say our moniker. No, that's our moniker. What are you doing over there, Rick?
Queued up some basketball.
All
Forgive me.
right.
Final Four.
Final 4.
Shout out Mateen Cleaves, if anyone's familiar.
Okay.
Yeah, Mateen.
Michigan State point guard when they won the title.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Final Four right now. Let's
right.
do it.
Okay.
All right,
cool,
fantastic.
cool. All right. So let's move this on into this week. If you've never listened to the podcast before, welcome. Like I said, my name's Adrian. I've got Aaron with me. I've got Ricky.
Hey.
This week we're going to be reminiscing on an activity that we took part in last year. Mm-hmm. It's spring, therefore it's running season.
Yeah.
And the Colfax Marathon is going to be taking place here in Denver, Colorado.
Colfax, baby.
The
facts.
facts, man.
Yeah.
Just the facts.
Just the facts, man. Just the facts.
You know what? Speaking of facts, give us some.
Well, very interesting. The Colfax Marathon is the premier marathon of the Midwest region, and it was intended to be so from the start. It's not super old. It was began in 2006. It's a charity event, so all the proceeds that are raised, they don't go directly to, paying for the marathon itself, get dedicated to some charity partners that the marathon has. We are not officially associated with the marathon in any capacity. We're just huge fans of Denver and huge fans of running. So the Colfax Marathon was intended from the beginning to highlight Colfax Avenue, which those of you that don't know or may not be from Denver, it is the longest continuous street in North America, right? It was at one point the only way that you could get from east to west. So before the interstate highway system was built in the 50s,
Right.
that was the road that you used. Like, say you wanted to travel from Maryland, where Ricky is from, all the way to sunny California, you would end up driving through Denver on Colfax Avenue. That's why it's so long, and that's why there's
Right.
a lot of old historic buildings and hotels along the way. So as the interstate highway system came along and Colfax became less popular, there was a movement in the early 2000s by Denver and Aurora and Lakewood to promote Colfax Avenue, and the Colfax Marathon was one of the ways that they did that. Now they've changed the route up a little bit. It still is mainly on Colfax, but it incorporates a lot of other areas of Denver now. It's fantastic.
Right. And that's the reason why it comes, like, there's a few different routes is because there's different legs, there's different races.
Yes.
that
Yeah.
are part of the Colfax Marathon.
That's true. The Colfax Marathon is now like an entire weekend. It starts on Saturday with a 5K run for people that, don't really want to participate in the length of a marathon. But then on Sunday, what's really cool is they have the marathon relay that Ricky, I, and Adrian did last year.
Yeah.
And they have the half marathon, 13.1 miles.
That's right.
And then the full marathon. They also have this really cool race that I'm considering doing this year because I'm sort of torn between the half marathon and the urban 10 miler, right? Which is the last 10 miles of the marathon race.
Was that, Ricky? You don't want to, you're not feeling the race this year?
Oh, I'm feeling the race, but half marathon, that just scares me.
It's a commitment.
It's an undertaking.
It is.
It definitely is. And the reason why he's torn is because the urban 10 miler is less, running, so 10 miles for one, 13.1 for the other, which he can smash both of those. But he's kind of torn because he wants the glory of the half marathon,
right?
As like the next step, and
that's
a big step from where you were last year,
yeah,
right? But on the other hand, he really wants to to be able to run the 10 miles because of the scenic route that it's on.
Yeah, I mean, one of the neatest and most exciting parts for me last year, because we did the marathon relay, and I had the great fortune to run the last leg, and so I'm running through downtown, on 17th Street, and they've got all the traffic blocked off, and I just thought to myself, when do you ever, without getting chased by the police, do you get to run down the middle of 17th Street in Denver, Colorado? Just, checking out the buildings and just running. It was a really neat experience.
I'm pretty sure there's some people that do it like at 3 a.m. naked.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure it's a regular occurrence. We just don't get to,
We're
it's
asleep.
not for us.
Right.
There's some people that have really enjoyed. I mean, they also get the added advantage of, there being the chance of being run over.
That's true. Run over,
It's a
chased
thrill.
by police. Yeah, you might
Yeah.
get tackled. Police dogs at home.
Who knows? Who knows? Yeah, we know. For us, it was just completely organized.
Yes, and it was
Nice.
exciting.
It was really
Like,
dope. It was a lot of fun.
I'm kind of, I've been going back and forth. I need to make a decision soon because obviously the race is next month, and I am going to run for To Teach One to promote the website and what we're doing here.
Absolutely, man. We're gonna sponsor you.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. But I'm kind of leaning back towards the half marathon just so I can say I've done a half marathon because I've never done one before. For those of you that don't know, before January of 2018, I couldn't run from here to there. Right. And so that's a whole story.
When he says from here to there, that is the approximate distance is about 1.75 blocks.
Yeah.
To be more,
Or
accurate.
Feet, maybe even, Yeah, I was a heavy smoker. I just never really ran before. And then somebody started talking about doing the relay and, the rest is history.
Yeah. So,
go ahead.
I mean, so the story is just, we'll get into, how the whole thing happened, but just, in short, we work for an organization that wanted to, go and really, be part of the race. Mm-hmm. They decided to get people together to run the race. And, I was asked, at the time I thought, yeah, you're dumb enough to say yes. And I did.
Right.
And I totally did not think I was going to be able to do it. I'm not even sure how you got roped into it. They were looking for more people, right?
I actually kind of heard about it and something sparked my interest. And I thought to myself, if you're ever going to run, and I'd always kind of wanted to, but never really got into it. And as you know, the beginning of last year was kind of a renaissance in my life.
Yeah.
And I was looking to do things that scared me, that challenged me, that I'd never done before. And I thought, here it is.
Right.
And so that's what it was. And I kind of volunteered, even though later it was kind of funny because I was like, oh, well, they have too many people. I guess I could not run.
Yeah, you were a little bit, you kind of looked for an exit a couple of times.
I did.
Anyway, so.
What's interesting though is, so we're talking about marathons. Do either of you, I know you're a little bit familiar with it, but are you familiar exactly with the story of the marathon itself?
Well, so here's the thing. I thought I knew what the story was. I just learned today that I've been lying to people for, at least a year.
I feel like a fraud.
No, I did too this morning. I was just like, what?
Yeah, me too.
There's layers to this story.
There are quite a few layers. So the original story is So it's like 490 BC, right? And there is a war going on between the Greek city-state of Athens and the Persian Empire, right?
You will kneel.
You will, yes. Well, all the 300.
I will kill many Persians. That's what he says, right?
That's what Leonidas said? Yeah.
The only thing is that was Sparta, and this is Athens. And even though now Greece is like its own place, right?
Dude, did we just get...
we just got told to be quiet.
You know what? Continue, please.
By all means.
It's interesting, right? So the Greek area, right, was a collection of city-states. Right, so each city-state was kind of like its own little nation. So Athens was a nation, Sparta was a nation. There were other Greek city-states, and in this particular battle, right? So the Athens, right, the Athenians were fighting at the city of Marathon against the Persians, right? And they won. And the expectation before that was maybe that they weren't. There was a little bit of, people were waiting back in the city. So they sent this man named Pheidippides, if that's how you pronounce it. He ran from Marathon all the way to Athens to deliver the great news of the Athenian victory. And what's kind of interesting is, according to legend, he shouted Nike, which is victory. Again, I'm not exactly sure of the pronunciation, but N-I-K-I, he pronounced that out loud and then keeled over and passed away. Pheidippides was no more.
Wow. See, I like that version because it's all dramatic and stuff. And, who doesn't like a little bit of drama, right?
Right, sure.
And that's the story I used to tell people.
Yeah. And me too. And I thought that distance was 26.2 miles.
That was the part where I lied. So the story was correct. Okay. I didn't have the name and all that, but
right.
I did tell some part of the story and I lied about the distance.
Yeah. Well, me too. I didn't realize that it wasn't that exact distance. So let's fast forward from 490 BC all the way to 1896, where they bring back the Olympics. As an international show of goodwill, and all these nations are going to compete together in friendly athletic competition. So the originator of the Olympics, the guy who put it on, de Coubertin, I believe is how you say it again, was like, hey, we're going to have this race. He knew about this story. He was like, we're going to have a race from the Marathon City Bridge all the way to Athens. And that was approximately 25 miles, I believe, 24, 25 miles. And they ran it, and it was kind of interesting because only like 9 people finished. The guy who came in third was eventually disqualified because it turns out that he took a car part of the way. So even at the very first Olympics, somebody was like, I can't run that far. What are y'all talking about? So that guy was disqualified. There was a winner. And so for the first few Olympics, there was no set, distance. The thinking was, as long as everybody ran the same distance, what does it matter? Now, cut to 1908, where the Olympics.
Great year.
Oh, a fantastic year. Yeah.
Great year.
It was one of my personal favorite years. What about you?
I know everything about that year.
1908, yeah. It was a balmy summer in northwestern England. No, I have no idea. But anyway, so they had the Olympics in England, and they ran from Windsor Castle to White City Stadium, which was a distance of 26 miles, right? But the royal family wanted the race to end in front of their box inside the stadium, which was an extra 385 yards, bringing the total of the race to 26.2 miles. And that is the distance that stuck.
So that wasn't the only thing they wanted. What was the other demand once people crossed the finish line?
Well, it wasn't a demand, but you have to understand that being in England and many of it isn't like it is now. You had a preponderance of people who were from that nation competing in the Olympics because there wasn't a good deal of travel like there is now. They didn't have major airlines just flying intercontinentally every day. And yeah, so the tradition, and I had never heard of this tradition, but apparently on my research, the tradition is that you yell, "God save the Queen," in the last mile, right? The last part of the race, which, I'm not yelling because I'm an American. I don't have a queen, but,
I do.
Oh,
Her
yeah?
name's Beyonce.
Somehow I knew that was coming. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love Beyonce?
Bang.
Oh, You don't worship at the the church of Beyonce?
Of course. I go every Sunday. Yeah. You know who has the same birthday as I do?
Jay-Z.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. A little man named, a big man named Jay-Z.
Yeah, that's a big dog right there.
That's a big dog, yeah. It's not like I share his birthday. Yeah, he doesn't have my birthday. It's kind of one of those deals. He's actually older than I am, but we do have the same talent with words. I'm just saying I might be a rap superstar.
Accurate.
Yeah. So that's a little bit of the history of the marathon itself. And then as time went on and it became ensconced that it was 26.2 miles at every Olympics. And actually what's interesting is that, the original Olympics is what started the Boston Marathon, which is probably the most famous marathon. And the Colfax Marathon, if I didn't mention this, is actually now a qualifying race for the Boston Marathon. Like, you can't just show up in Boston and sign up for the marathon. Like, you have to have previous marathon experience because so many people want to run in it. Unlike the Colfax Marathon, where, hey man, until it fills up, the spaces are filled, you don't have to have any experience.
Right.
It's really interesting. So that's the history of the marathon as I know it. It was really kind of cool to dive in and find some of the reality of that particular event, especially since, that's my ultimate goal. And I wanted to do it this year, but man, it is very difficult even to go from running 10, 13, 14 miles to really build up into that 20-mile range. And when I do it, I don't want to do it where, I run a little bit and I walk and I run a little bit and I walk. Not that I put anybody down that gets it done, but when I do it, I want to do it completely running the entire time. Except for maybe, like where you stop a little bit for some water where I slow down, but I don't want to do the walking.
I hate slowing down once I get going.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you definitely want that pace.
Even for the drink, man. That's the one time I give myself a pass, because I remember last year what I did was they had those stations where you could stop, get some, I don't know what kind of electrolyte beverage they had at the little stations and stuff. I would basically just, decided that I was one of those professional runners. I did the same thing that they see them doing, just grab one.
Yes.
Kind of like half chug it and just toss it to the side.
Right.
I feel like a scumbag for just littering because I don't do that kind of thing, you know?
No, not at all.
But, I give myself a pass.
Yeah, it was it was really interesting training and, for last year's marathon, because it was my first experience with running at all. And I know what was cool was Ricky and I got to pass the baton, or he passed the baton to me. So I ran the final leg and he ran the leg before that. And, it was really cool. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was one of the coolest experiences, I've had, period. Because first off, so I've always been pretty active. I've played all kinds of sports, and more often than not, anything I play, basketball, whatever it is, short distances. Okay.
Yeah.
That's where I shine. Mm-hmm. I swam short distance.
Right.
Even then I never did I might have done relay a couple times, but more often than not, it was just, it's like sprint races, right?
Yeah.
So I get to a point where I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm feeling pretty healthy, pretty, in shape, but there's still something that I'm not quite experienced in. And I was tired of people, I was tired of having to explain why I don't do steady pace running when I'm from Kenya. First
get out of here.
Yo,
true,
man,
right?
let me tell you so. Hold on, let me just talk about the burden, okay, of being Kenyan. Okay. Anyone who looks at me, right, kind of a stocky dude. I mean, I'm just not built for that kind of thing, right? But I was tired. I wanted to at least have the experience. And what really happened was, I was at brunch with one of my childhood friends, actually the brother to one of my best friends, right? So this guy and his wife are like, hey man, let's do the hot chocolate run, right? That they do here.
Okay, yeah.
Oh yeah, I do want to do that. It's like fall, right?
Yeah, exactly. So they were telling me about the hot chocolate run, because there's a few of those 5Ks that take place.
Yeah,
every
there's
year, right?
quite a few that happen in Denver. Yeah.
Now, so they're telling me about this, and they talked about one, and they're like, yeah, you get beers at the end. I'm like, cool, barking up the wrong tree, not interested. First of all, I don't want to run. Second, who cares about, I'm not going to drink the beer at the end, right?
No.
So I basically like kind of shrugged off all that stuff. I was like, yeah, whatever, man. And then I got home and I started thinking to myself, can you even run a mile straight?
Yeah.
And once I had that thought, it was on, man.
It was on, yeah.
That thing just kept burrowing deeper and deeper, man. And it was just really bugging me, right? So I go to the gym one day, get onto the treadmill. I'm like, cool, let's do the test. Yo, I was dying. Like, not even half a mile, like a quarter mile. I'm just like, I'd had it.
Yeah.
And so then I was like, yo, how can you talk so much stuff, man? And you can't even run 1 mile.
Yeah.
And 1 mile is something, pretty common in high school. Like they make you do the mile for PE.
Right. Yeah.
I started thinking back to that and I was like, I remember the mile defeated me back then too. And I was just
me
like,
too.
yo,
Me too.
This is for the birds, man.
Yeah. I couldn't hack it anymore. I didn't want to be able to not. I didn't want to not be able to run a mile. I get it. Yeah.
Yeah, especially when there was guys like Rudy, man. There were 2 guys named Rudy and Oscar. These guys used to sprint the whole thing.
Oh, I know.
Not fair. That's cheating.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing though. In hindsight, like later on, I find out that these kids were dealing cocaine, in high school.
Well, okay.
I think
a lot.
I think they were, perhaps sampling
some of their own product.
I'm pretty sure they did.
It is well known that although illegal cocaine is the ultimate pre-workout.
It'll certainly do in a pinch.
Yes, although it is not recommended at all.
Absolutely not. We're definitely not recommending that. I'm just saying that in hindsight, I realize now what was going on. Because those dudes couldn't even shut the hell up during math class, man. And this is the first class of the day. Right. Okay, so these dudes just sprint the mile, man. And I'm just like, you know what? Screw
it all
those
makes
guys.
Sense. Yeah,
it makes sense. So anyway, I just needed to prove something to myself and to build that mental, strength. Okay, because I think there's a lot to be said about that. Like Ricky talked about last time.
Yeah, we talked about that last week with Ricky.
It's a muscle.
It is a muscle.
You gotta work out that brain.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Ugh.
When did you start running again, Ricky?
Okay,
well, he's been running for a minute now.
That's a layered question.
No, even before the race last year, you were running, because that was why I thought to myself, Ricky, we should recruit.
Yeah,
Ricky.
No, I remember that. Yeah, because they were told me.
You used to run at night.
Yep.
I remember you saying that.
Yeah, I used to run at night because I was like worried about how I ran. Mm-hmm. Because
what are you trying to say? You had an ugly run or something?
Yeah, like what if I'm one of those people that like cars drive by and they're like, look at the way this dude runs. And like they all get a kick out of it. I can't be the butt of that joke. Right? Like that's just.
I wonder that too sometimes.
Can't do it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Couldn't do it. Right now I could do it and that'd be fun.
Right.
Okay.
Couldn't do it then. Right. I'm in a groove. I started running. Running turned into playing soccer, which running and soccer. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's a perpetual thing. Like I still play soccer. I still go running.
Yeah.
I'm not sure like which one keeps me doing the other. But I would say it's running. Right?
Interesting.
Because like I run more than I play soccer.
Right. I used to play adult league soccer too. And
what are you talking about? I don't play adult league soccer. I'm 17. High school.
Oh yeah, me too.
High school All-American.
For all the ladies in the audience, I am still 22. Just saying. Yeah. So I used to play and I used to think back. I think back now and I'm like, how much better could I have been, especially as a wing, had I gone out and run a few miles once a week, cause I could sprint, but then I was done, right? So running back, especially, so Ricky knows, well, and you've played soccer too, Adrian. So if you're playing midfield, your job is to be up on offense and then be able to run back and play some defense.
Defense, right.
And
moving constantly.
Yeah. And especially because I was really fast, for, my age group. And so I was always out in the wing and they always wanted me to sprint. Even if I didn't get the ball to me, you just draw in defenders and stuff.
Right.
And yeah, I look back and I'm like, man, I would have been, I don't know, 5-10 times better had I had the endurance that I have now. Because even though, like, we played basketball the other day, it's still hard.
But you realize that it was a totally different ballgame, right? When you're running short distances.
It is different.
Right? Versus
stop and go.
But the stop and go is really tough.
But I think that the long distance running helps with the recovery. Because even though I still get really tired, I bounce back much quicker than I used to.
True. Yeah,
so I think it's good for that.
That's definitely true because in the past, I'd probably, because we played, 3 games? Mm-hmm. I probably would have quit by number 2.
Yeah, and we were still, we were rather tired.
We ran out of time, actually.
Yeah.
We wanted to keep going.
Yeah, we could have played it at fourth game.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we will definitely incorporate that, into our cardio,
and that's a thing too. I know earlier in the week I had posted that we were going to talk more about high intensity training versus long distance running, and we decided to go with the Colfax Marathon. But I think ultimately, you need both of those things in your routine.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that in length on its own, right? Because
yeah.
I think there's layers to that too.
Oh, absolutely. There's some fascinating science and research behind it. But I know for me, like you said, exercising your brain and just getting over that barrier. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that are like, oh man, you can run that far. And now I don't even look at it as a big deal. You really get used to it. And I know, one of the really cool things, that happens is as you get used to running long distances, your body actually changes, which is really cool to kind of know that that's happening and having experienced it and watch it kick in. So like for the first 10 minutes, you're running almost as if you're sprinting. And then your body, after about 10 minutes, kicks into another cycle of pulling energy.
Right.
Where it's a lot more attuned to steady long distance energy than it is to fast burning sprinting energy.
Right.
And once I hit that and I get comfortable in it, then, I'm good. The only thing that stops me now is fuel. So one of the things that I also learned about long distance running is you have to eat some carbohydrates on the way. If you're going to go more than an hour and a half, I have to eat. So, I have like these little they call them running gels.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't really use them last year at all, cause I only ran the 6 mile leg and you don't really need them then. But once you hit about 10 miles and you're in there for like an hour and a half, you've used up all your carbs. So like I will get intensely hungry, but if I eat a little bit of this running gel,
right,
then, that's when I can finish like a half marathon cause you really feel the difference. And all it is carbohydrates. It's not even really sugar. Just depending on what you get. Some people can use gummy bears or candy.
Right. It's just about replenishing those glycogen, levels, the stores.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, it becomes a big deal when you go over about 10 miles, at least for me. And depending on how fast you can run a mile. For me, and it was really cool. Last week, I hit probably my best times for the 10-mile run, which was a consistent about 9-minute and 40-second pace. Over the 10 miles, which, was really good for me. I'd like to get that down to where I can do about a 9-mile minute, and I can do better than that, but I can't run 10 of them in a row at that rate. It was fascinating last year and really blew my mind was when I looked up, cause I thought, hey, I ran 9-minute miles. That's pretty fast. I did okay last year. Let me look and see what the winners of the race did. And
what did they do?
Dude, it was crazy. These guys were running 26 miles in a row, putting up 5-minute miles.
Yeah, those are the elites though, man.
Yeah, I mean,
That's crazy.
Yeah. I can't run a 5-minute mile at my fastest right now. Like if I just started sprinting and was somehow able to keep up sprinting for the entire mile.
Basically, if you dude, so I'm not even sure how to put it in perspective. Like in words, it's very hard to explain how like crazy it is to run a 5-minute mile.
Oh man.
You have to be okay. So it's definitely easier for guys like Ricky, right? Ricky, how tall are you?
6'4". 6'4".
Yeah. If you're 6'4", you've got long legs. A lot easier to run. Put up those kind of times.
Sure, I think it's a requirement. To be quite, I don't know that somebody.
I think it would have to be because you'd literally be sprinting.
Yeah, I've always wondered, and one of the things I want to look up, and I didn't do it for this episode, but I just thought about it, was what is the difference in, and if anybody's done this study, what is the difference in energy expenditure for somebody who's my height, right? I'm 5'6", versus 6'4", for the same amount of distance, like the same distance. What is the energy expenditure? Because I feel like I put out more energy just running the same distance, because I know I'm at the park, right? And I'm doing pretty good, and I'm running, and I see this guy, or several different dudes, and they'll be about Ricky's height, maybe even a little bit taller.
Right.
And they don't even look like they're trying, but they just, they're so much faster than I am, as far as like steady pace running. And they just, they don't even look like they're putting out a lot of effort.
Yeah, they absolutely. Their strides are longer, are much longer, right?
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. So when you're talking about guys who are putting up those kind of times, you could be looking at the next, David Goggins, right? We talk about that guy quite often, right?
Yeah, he's a hero.
So here's the thing. So I'm on his website right now, and this isn't like a promo for him. He's just someone we stumbled upon, and I talk about just a fascinating human being.
Yeah.
This guy decided to so he was very kind of fed up with his life and where he was at. He was overweight, had a really rough upbringing. He was kind of broken down, right? And he had kind of given up. And there's actually a picture of him him just sitting on his couch. He's much, much heavier than he is today, right?
Yeah.
And so he's like, listen, embrace pain, embrace the suck. That's kind of his message, right?
Yeah.
Train yourself, make it a priority to put yourself in those situations where you constantly condition yourself to live in the suck.
Yeah.
Because guess what? Every day of your life, you're going to encounter it in one way or the other, right?
It's true.
And there's a message to be had there, although, I think, everyone should do things, use a little bit of wisdom.
Sure.
Okay. And be reasonable, because definitely don't go, too crazy. Don't be too extreme. Although that's what he did. And this guy.
Yeah.
So he's a retired Navy SEAL, the only member of the U.S. Armed Forces to complete SEAL training, U.S. Army Ranger School, and Air Force Tactical Air Controller training.
Wow.
All three. That's not it. And then
that's so crazy,
dude. No. And by the way, SEAL training, he went through Hell Week twice. Because the first time he did it,
yeah,
he actually, so he had already begun this journey of, embracing the suck. So
right,
he injured his legs. Okay. So somewhere during the first Hell Week, he's so like jacked up, right? Eventually at some point they decide to get him checked out. They check him out and the doctor's like, this dude, he shouldn't even be walking right now. He's completely messed up. His knees are like just mush. Yeah. Right? So anyway, they force him to drop out, right?
Oh wow.
He heals up, comes back. By the time he comes back, he's not even all the way like good, because this first chance he had, the first time he felt good enough to run again, jacked up his legs. Okay. But he didn't say anything. Right. He's just like, yeah, no, I'm cool, man. So he fights. They let him back in. Finishes his second Hell Week. He's a SEAL. And then, you've heard everything else. Army Ranger School.
Wow.
Air Force Tactical Air Controller training. Now, that's not it. So he's also an accomplished endurance athlete.
Oh, yeah.
He's completed over 60 ultra marathons.
60 ultra marathons.
Will someone look up how long an ultra marathon is? Because
say less. Gotcha.
Let me tell you something.
I don't know what that is, but it sounds impressive. I think it's like the 70 miler, right? I believe it's like 70 something miles. Cause I've seen, remember I told you about that car I saw, right? This car had, so you see stickers with like the 13.1.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah. You tell me about that.
This car had the 13.1, the 26.2. It had like a 70 and then 100 and something. And I was just like, respect. Like if you're trying to tell me with the back of your car sticker that you've at some point went over 100 miles in a row at one time, you're an accomplished person.
Dude, sick puppy, man.
Yeah. It takes something else. I'm telling you, man, like just breaking through the barrier. So my current long distance is 15.1 or 2 miles. And that for me was like a marathon. And even then, and cause I began to get like mentally fatigued. I remember I was like 14 something miles and I'm like crossing the street and I almost got hit cause I wasn't really like paying attention. I was so like mentally drained and physically drained that, my cognitive function was impaired. And so I can't imagine. And so I can't imagine because you begin to get the sense of what it takes mentally, the fortitude that it takes to do those ultra marathons. But what's cool is it's really the only thing, it's the same thing that you do at mile 2 when you first start. It's just, it ramps up to another level. And that's why I really want to get to that, before last year. So my personal goal is to do the half marathon this year, to keep training, keeping on. It's also a large personal commitment to go out every Sunday and run 3 hours.
All right.
Ultra marathons are anything longer than a regular marathon.
Oh.
But it normally starts at 50K and then goes up.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So it's not a set thing. It's not like double marathon.
That's wild.
That is wild though. Yeah. Like, 50 miles, man.
Yeah, man. That
is intense.
I don't even know, man. So here's the thing. So 60 ultra marathons.
So, yeah. So at 60 miles, man, I just can't imagine anything over, like 26 would be huge for me. I think I will stop at 26, but who knows, right? I thought I was going to stop at 6. So in like 5 years, I could be running an ultra marathon. At some point, you do have to embrace the suck. Like, I love the feeling when I get to mile 5 or 6 and I could totally stop then, but I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. Like, there's a hill or something. And, it changes. Every time I run, it's a little bit different depending on how I eat and then how I'm feeling. And I'm just like, this hurts, right? Like right now, I'm not enjoying life.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just not going to stop and I'm going to keep going. And then you reach like a breakthrough point where you're just like, this is great. I could think I could do this forever. And again, at a certain point at mile like 10 or 11, I realize the only reason I'm going to have to quit is my hip flexors begin to really, they begin to bother me. My knees begin to bother me. Mm-hmm. And here's something kind of funny that you don't really know. Like, I knew that marathon runners used to do things like put Band-Aids over their nipples. There's
chafing, man.
Chafing becomes an issue at like mile 13 to 14. If you haven't properly prepared yourself, chafing becomes an issue. Yeah, so I learned that the hard way. Even just my feet, even just my toes rubbing together over that many miles, it really begins to hurt. But I love it now. It's something that I'll probably do for the rest of my life. And who I really respect is when I get to the park and these old guys are just still putting that effort on. Mad respect to the people who are still keeping on. So what do y'all have planned for this year as far as the marathon goes?
I have nothing planned for this year. I'm not going to be running, but To Teach One's definitely going to be promoting you. We're going to be out there, taking some video, so everyone can see what you're up to. I'm happy. I'm stoked for you, man. I just wasn't in a place this year where I wanted to, train for that and all that kind of thing. Next year's another year to, pick it back up. So,
I get it. It was difficult to put together, the relay teams. Like, I know for our team that Ricky was on, we were kind of scrambling at the last minute with people, pulling out, and we had to find a quick fill-in. So running the team as a marathon relay team, that can be tricky. So I know we didn't really want to do that again. And that kind of just leaves you with the 5K, which I don't think would be a challenge for you. Like, you could go out tomorrow and run a 5K.
Well, yeah. I mean, 5K is my Sunday run, like Ricky. I don't do it very consistently, but.
Yeah, you would want to like push yourself. And
yeah, I'm definitely going to go for the next one up.
Yeah. And I know this year too, like, we were starting this podcast, and for those of you that don't know, Adrian has put an enormous amount of time and effort into getting the website up and running, to doing a lot of the background things that are just required for a successful podcast. I know this is a little bit off topic, but as we've gone along in this journey putting this podcast together, it is interesting to me how many people have done like 3 podcasts. Right? They had the idea and they really wanted to do it.
Oh yeah, man.
They went and they recorded a couple, and then you realize that even though it sounds easy, they're really usually, for a successful podcast, or really successful anything, you got to put some time and some effort and some background into it. And Adrian has done a lot of that work. So I totally get it. While I was off running many Sundays, you were in there wrestling with the website.
I sacrificed, showers, sleep.
I remember that weekend.
You smell me? Yeah, all jokes aside, it was definitely, it was tricky. It was definitely,
that weekend was so funny. I don't think you left the couch. Like, we were trying to figure the website out. And what's really cool is Adrian had given himself a deadline, right? Cause if nobody gives you a deadline, it's like a marathon, right? If no one tells you got to finish it in this time, you got to do it like that.
Go.
Yeah, right? You're not going to do it. So they did it. For me, with the marathon, right? And Adrian did it for himself on that website. And he sat on this couch trying to figure this problem out, I think from like Thursday to Sunday, and finally on Sunday you got it.
And it was the smallest thing. I mean,
Yeah, it really was.
yo, it was seriously, it was a firewall. It was a firewall issue. I mean, I went around, I was talking to support, I did all kinds of things, and in the end, it ended up being
A firewall.
something really, really small. But you know what? I mean, truth is, I mean, I got to learn a lot of things in the process of figuring out that mistake. And that's what any journey is like, you know. Anything you do that's worth having, the journey is really what matters. It's not really the end result, because all those things that you learn so much about yourself, new things. Mm-hmm. I think there's so much beauty in that, you know, and unfortunately a lot of people won't get to figure that out for themselves because they won't embrace the suck.
You must embrace the suck. And that's so true for almost any aspect of your life. Anything. Dude, yeah.
I'm over here still looking at ultra marathons.
Well,
you sent me down a wormthrough.
Wow. Yeah, what's going down?
Tell us about it. You're gone. You're in it.
That I'm grateful for, but also like I'm thrown off a little bit. There's an ultra marathon in Antarctica.
Wow.
Okay.
Which not many people do due to logistics and the cost of entering it. Africa's got some.
Oh, no doubt, man.
There's one.
They're my people.
The Washi.
The Washi?
100-mile road race is the oldest 100-miler in Africa.
Wow.
Where's that at?
It just says the Washi.
The Washi? Let me look it up.
Cape Town has some, like, you kind of would figure that.
Yeah.
There's a 6-day stage race, which covers 160 miles in the Sahara.
Wow.
You have to be so mentally strong to do that.
Oh, man.
The Washi 100-miler is in the Eastern Cape, so it's South Africa.
Okay.
So a lot of the long ones take place in South Africa.
100
Is there any
freaking miles, dude.
Is there any North American like ultra marathons?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no doubt. Yeah, why wouldn't there be?
Of course.
There's tons of elite runners here, man. It's a big deal here.
Yeah.
Back in 1928, another great year.
Right? Yeah.
I believe that's the Gilded Age.
I know everything
right at the
about
end.
1928
Right at the end of the Gilded Age. I believe it was right before the Wall Street crash.
So it's like
Flappers.
you know, F. Scott's
Yeah,
writing
yeah.
just
Oh,
novels.
yeah, man. Yeah.
Right.
Loving life.
Yeah.
There was a race that went along Route 66 from LA to Chicago before heading towards New York. And the following year, they reversed the route, but they make sure they note that neither the race nor the accompanying vaudeville show was a financial success. I can understand that. I feel like even in the past 15 years, I've seen running get even bigger.
Yeah. It didn't used to be a very popular thing.
Well, maybe it was, but we just didn't have these ways to connect with everyone.
Maybe
Right,
you're right.
right,
Yeah,
right, exactly.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is what
Yeah.
I'm leaning towards, because it's not like a whole bunch of new people would start running 10 years ago.
Well, from what I've read, I think it became, and who knows what they were doing in isolated communities back in the 20s. Obviously, if there were people willing to run that kind of race, there were people out there running, right? But I know that the current sort of generation of runners kind of started in the 70s when it really began to be promoted as a healthy lifestyle.
As a healthy lifestyle thing, right.
Yeah.
The 70s?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of when the modern era of American running started. But
Shorts.
obviously they were,
Those things are clutch.
You know what's amazing, what's hilarious to me is what you could wear in like 1980. Like men.
Oh, the crop tops?
You wore like half shirts and shorts that would now be considered women's shorts, but were regularly worn by men.
Yeah, with like the long socks and some sneakers, man.
Yeah, man. I'll never forget the long socks, right? At one moment they were in fashion, and then one day, gone. I remember getting out of the car for field day. I'm in the 6th grade. My best friend, Anand Vyas, I don't know where you're at, Anand, but shout out to you, because he looks at me. He was like, I've always needed somebody to kind of guide me in fashion, because I never really know until it's passed by. And I get out of the car, and I'm in my tube socks, and they got the colors. They're pulled all the way up, almost to my knees. And he looks at me, and he goes, Aaron, what are you doing? Pull your socks down, man. And I was like, what? Oh. So I did it immediately.
You're
right?
like a day past when that trend has ended.
Hey, man, shouts to tube socks.
That's right. They're back now,
Right.
man.
What in the?
That is sweet. Yeah, we need to get that on camera. Get that on.
Luke, I am your father.
Yo, those socks are off, right? those are dope.
There's a lightsaber on
like
his socks.
those.
That's sweet. You know, that is one of the cool things. Like, they always tell you fashion is cyclical. And I've really seen it.
Yeah, but you know what? Okay, and it is, right? But here's the thing. I'm not into trends. I like classic, things, right? Because they don't go out of fashion.
True, but even things,
Yes. Even
they
those
come
classic
back,
things,
right?
they come back in. Well, that's the thing. They're timeless, right? So even when they don't really come back, they never left.
Yeah. Well,
People just like put them in the closet.
well, some of it is
It's not
practicality.
hot right now.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Well, like wearing your socks all the way up. Like even when like now, if you wear socks, you can just wear them at whatever length they are. And nobody cares.
There was a time when, recently, there was a little period there, I feel like, where socks, there was so many different sock companies that just popped up, all kinds of different colors and all this stuff.
Ricky's
right?
always got some tight socks on.
Ricky's, did you see the neon ones last time?
Yeah, man. No, that day that I saw you at the gas station, it was the first day that I ever ran 13.1 miles, right? And I'm running, and I'm like concentrating. I'm over there near Wash Park, and I look at the gas station, and I actually see it's his socks that I saw first, and I'm like, I only know one person that has socks like that, and I look up, and sure enough, there's Ricky. And I talked to him for a minute.
Ricky Tan.
Oh, Ricky.
Love me some socks.
Yeah, and I talked to him, and it was cool because it was really nice because he was like, "Hey, man, I know that I'm thinking about you because I told him I'm like, this is the first time I'm really going to try for 13.1, and it hurt, man. My own 12 to 13. It was very important that you said that because I'm just like, I already put it out there, like I can't stop. I have to get to 13.1.
Yeah.
It was tough, though.
So you know what? Let's just get this out of the way. Go ahead and open up that cookie, man. Because there's no way we're going to be able to mask that.
No, it's okay.
Man, that ain't a cookie. What the hell? What is that?
It's an Uncrustable, my friend.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know what genius thought of that.
Listen, there's only one way to explain this.
Yeah.
Merca. Okay?
Merca.
Let's move on.
Only thing more American than this, deep fry it.
That's right.
That's true. That's
it.
just...
It's the only way you can
Yeah,
get
man,
more.
I'm feeling real patriotic right now just thinking about deep frying that thing. Matter of fact, I bet you they do
Stan,
that.
yes, yes.
Let's have a moment
Oh, say can you see? That's
for
right.
the fried
Land of the free,
munchable.
home of the brave. Eating some Uncrustables.
Oh, it's uncrustable.
Uncrustable.
Got you.
Can't even get
Got
crust on it. That's what that means. It is uncrustable.
I feel you. I see.
Uncrustable is actually Latin for without crust.
Wow, I did not know that. That's a good point. Wow.
Wow. You know what?
Got you there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's good.
You thought Latin was a dead language.
No.
Sorely mistaken.
Why do they say that? Just because a majority of the people don't speak it?
Nobody actually speaks Latin anymore. That's one of the deals. Yeah.
I speak Latin.
Well, people know Latin as a written language, but here's the funny thing. Nobody really knows if they're pronouncing it correctly because there are no native Latin speakers anymore. There haven't been for like 1,000 years.
I see what you're saying.
So it's, even though it's taught in school and people,
They taught us Latin.
Yeah, I took 2 years of Latin.
We used to say the Lord's Prayer in Latin, but once you take Latin, it really opens up linguistically.
Oh, sure.
It opens up your mind. You understand so much more.
Especially the root words of languages.
A lot of them.
Yeah. Well, and that's why they call them the Romance languages, right? So English, French, Spanish, English is a bit of a hybrid because it's got some German, but they call them Romance languages because they come from Rome, and Rome is the center of the Roman Empire, which spoke
Latin.
Yes, very good.
Yeah,
very
all
good.
the books that when we were learning Latin, all the imagery was like Roman.
Did you ever have to read out of
and stuff?
Yeah, did you ever read out of the Aeneid?
Aeneid?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, really? That's how they taught us a lot of Latin. It's one of the great epics, right? And it was actually written by Virgil, who was a Roman, to promote the Roman Empire. Okay. Like back then, that was their propaganda. They're like, we need a good origin story. You're our dude, Virgil. You're our word weapon of the day. So write us a story. And he did. And it talked about the fall of Troy and Helen of Troy, well, not really. That's not where we get Helen of Troy. That's not where we get the fall of Troy. But it tells the other side of that story. What are you trying to do to us,
man? You're just making stuff up.
No. It tells the other side of the story. So like Homer wrote the Iliad, which is about the Trojan War, and then the Odyssey, which is about the return home from the Trojan War. And then Virgil kind of piggybacked off that and wrote about the Trojans, right? So the Iliad and the Odyssey are written from the Greek point of view. The Aeneid is written from the Trojan point of view, right? Okay.
Trojan.
Thank you very much. Yes, Trojan. And it talks about how one of the people that left Troy founded Rome, right? And that's where that's their great myth comes from. That so they tie their whole thing back to
the word weapon.
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen. So we've talked about a lot of things, right? Mm-hmm. So I mean, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't really talk and give people some tips and tricks based on our experience.
Sure.
Of taking on the challenge of doing steady pace running, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what did we learn? If someone's looking to get into doing steady pace running, what do we tell them to like aid them? What kind of hacks do we have?
Well, for me, I think it begins with form. So if you sprint,
I'm gonna stop you there.
Okay.
I think you're jumping the gun.
You think I'm jumping? Okay,
all right, cool.
Fill us in. Come on,
man.
What do you think?
So this is what helped me get there?
Yeah.
And maybe I shouldn't say jumping the gun because this is all personal.
No, it's fine, yeah.
It was finding something that I could tone out my brain with and only focus on running.
Yeah.
And my form didn't matter at that time because I was just starting.
Okay.
But it couldn't be like an aggressive type of music. It had to be, something that I could run to, like I would pace myself to the music. I found running to music without lyrics was best at first. Because I'm not thinking about anything else. There's no me trying to like recite the lyrics of the song in my head. Nothing. It's like, this is going to tune everything else out and we'll go. And then from there, that's where like my form came, but I can understand how form could be first for you.
Yeah.
Or whomever.
Right. Sure. That makes a lot of sense. Because when we talk about firsts, it's really, like I said, it's very personal and, you have to sort of begin somewhere. And I know for me, I knew how to sprint, but I thought that's my tendency is to go and research stuff before I start it. Mm-hmm. And so for me, it was kind of looking into what do I need to know about running? But you're right. Like the first thing kind of is what's going to make you comfortable or what's going to make it possible for you to get over that hump, whatever that is. And so for me, it was kind of doing my research and getting all my ducks in a row where I felt good about running. For Ricky, it was finding that thing that was going to be able to tune him out. And I totally agree on the music because when I first started running, I had this mix that it's called my running mix, and it's a mixture of fast and slow songs. But now I tend to run to whatever artist it is, that same artist, because they tend to have the same type of songs, and it tends to be a mid-tempo. So that most of the time I'll get lost. Like I won't even be listening to the lyrics so much. Yeah, it's just like the tempo of the song. And I don't want it to vary too much. What about you, Adrian?
Well, okay, so the whole thing about, tempo is definitely right? And I agree with what you said. For me, that was your reason about learning to focus. That was the whole reason I wanted to do steady pace running. It was to train my mind to focus and to get into this state where I concentrate on just one thing for any given amount of time. Okay.
I like that so much because that's what I was doing.
Yeah, that was totally my thing too, because so the reason why I realized, okay, so let me just go back to how I even got to where I started from. Mm-hmm. So like I said, I went to the gym, did the treadmill thing.
Right.
0.25 miles in. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, this is for the birds, man. I was dying. Yep. We've all been there. And this is on a treadmill, which is not a good, which does not give you a good it's not a good indicator of how you're going to do on the street, because on the street you have to propel yourself, and then there's like and this is Denver, right? So it's up, down, it's all over the place, right?
All over.
Then you're running down the street, and one of the tiles is like sticking up just right.
Oh, I've taken myself out before. Good.
Dude, I've fallen, man, but I'm like a ninja. The way I bounce back,
I didn't even know
never fall.
I remember running that one day. I didn't even know.
Yeah. Yeah, I still have a like weird stain on my shoe that reminds me every freaking time I put them on that happened. But so here's the thing.
You're better than I did it one time and just thud.
And you just like chilled out there for a second.
I was like, that sucks. This sucks.
So that's what I didn't want to do.
What am I doing? Why did I decide to do this? Like every thought about why I went out before, like came flashing through my mind was like,
oh, dude.
You're so dumb for going out.
Dude, see, that's why as soon as I hit the ground, I sprung back up. He didn't even know. He was right in front of me. He had no idea that had happened. The only reason he knew is because we stopped we were at the light, right before. So if we had gone right to our right, what's it called? Denver, Cherry Creek, Country Club is right there.
Yes.
So that's where we were at. There's that little corner right there. And so, I stop. I'm all dusty and stuff on one side of my body. Just dust myself off, and I was like, "Cool, let's keep going." And because I didn't want to be on the ground thinking all those things, because I was already tired, man. I wasn't feeling it, man.
Yeah, when I fell, I was a 1/10 of a mile from home.
Oh wow,
that was the worst.
You're so close,
man.
I was like, "This sucks."
I almost made it the whole way.
The end of that story is I got up and ran and finished it.
That's right.
There was a moment.
Yeah.
I feel you.
I'm never going to go running again.
Please. It's you. It's you.
You're the rocket.
You're the rocket, man. I mean, why wouldn't you? So for me, it was, I did the treadmill, and then I hit I decided to start pounding the pavement.
Right.
But before we even started training together last year, I just decided, okay, like, how can I build on, the 0.25 miles that I ran? And so what I did was I did a little bit of your, approach, which is I went online, right? And I was like, okay, how do people approach this?
Yeah.
And it turned out that what I was doing was actually correct, because what I'd do is I'd run as far as I could. And once like I felt like I could not go any longer, I'd maybe walk the next block.
Yeah.
And then as soon as I felt like good, as soon as I got to the next light, I'd start running again. And I'd go as far as I can.
Yeah, that's a good way to start.
Right. And that was my beginning point, right? And what I noticed was with every time I did that, I went further and further, right?
Yeah.
And I started working that muscle.
Yes.
That, that allowed me to be like, okay, fine, tune out all that nonsense.
Right.
Okay, that voice that's like, oh man, this sucks. It's like, listen, man, just a little bit further.
Yeah, you know what you're also doing too, though. I'll get to the science in just a second, but keep talking.
So that's what I was doing, and it was working for me. So I did that for a while, and I'm not even sure why I stopped running, because for the longest time I stopped. And the next time I started running again was when I ran with you.
Yeah.
And I remember when we decided that we were going to start training. Dude, first of all, you were just the funniest person ever. You were like, we'd go to the gym, and he's like, yeah, let's get on let's do the treadmill thing. And he wasn't really into that at first. Even that he wasn't into. There was some resistance there. And so we get on the treadmills and we're running, and, we get tired, and, whatever the case is. So one day we hop off the treadmills. We leave the gym. We try to run back.
Yeah. From our house, we forgot something.
Cause I left something at the gym, right? We've already walked most of the way back to, the house, right? Now the house is how far you think distance wise?
I would say if we were describing it, we're maybe talking 2.5 city blocks.
Right. So 2.5 city blocks, right? So here, let me reposition this thing just real quick. So 2.5 blocks. We did not make it the full 2.5 blocks. Aaron was dying. And I kept telling him, I was like, yo, let me tell you something. I've ran on the pavement. It's a totally different thing.
We hadn't really done that yet.
We hadn't done that at that point. And I remember I kept telling you, and you're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just keep doing more of the treadmill. And I was like, okay, that's cool. But at some point, to give you a realistic idea,
we need to run outside.
We have to do the outside thing. And that was when
the moment. And we've described it before.
You were like, whoa.
Yeah, it is different.
So this is, it's different. It's completely different.
But what's cool is from that moment, like, then we did the one, and I did it like you said, I stopped.
Yeah.
And then that story that we've told before where
Right.
you kind of grabbed me and was like, don't stop.
Right.
And that was the moment. That was the moment I knew that I could actually do more than that part of my brain was telling me.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating too is as I began to do my research, another thing, like for us and the way that we look at it, it's almost purely mental. But what's also happening in your body is, so when you start to run, the mitochondria in your muscles.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Who mitochondria, man?
The mitochondria, the energy factories of your cells. Right? So they're the ones that process, the glucose, the fructose, the sugar, right? And make ATP, which is, I forget the long technical term.
AT&T?
AT&T, right? They're making little phone calls inside your cells. And the more phone calls they make, the more money AT&T makes. They download that. It's like a sharing account. It's like a profit sharing.
Makes perfect sense. That's why people run so much.
Absolutely. Right.
Yeah.
You're getting paid, right?
Yeah.
I get paid every time I run. I don't know what y'all talking about. Anyway.
had
So, but then they split up the baby bells or into the baby. Anyway, so it's a long story. It ends with, has to do with Richard Nixon, Watergate, AT&T. There's also the Eisenhower meeting with
we should
the
probably
aliens.
not say anymore.
Is this being recorded? Yeah, okay. So anyways, let's go
just
back
a bit.
All right. So I veered off into left field. Let's go back to home plate. So the mitochondria are the little energy factories of your cells.
Right.
And every time you run any kind of distance and you push it, your body is like responds, just like as if you were building muscle, like by lifting weights. Your body responds by developing more mitochondria in each cell so that it can provide more energy. And over the course of about 6 months of continuous long distance running, you're going to basically double the amount of mitochondria that are in your cells, which is why you can run further and further and further. Each cell is actually able to produce more energy. And so you're able to go a little bit longer. But to us, that moment where it begins to build is that moment where you could stop. It's like you get to that part where it's like, hey, I'm done. You push a little bit further, your body responds by building itself up, just like with muscles. When you lift weights,
right,
and you lift heavy weights, you get to that point where you're like, I'm done, and you can't go any further. Now, with weight training, it's a little bit different because you literally can't go any further when your muscles give out.
Yeah.
But with running, you can push yourself a little bit further, and you're actually building up those energy factories in your cells.
Yeah, with running, a lot of the times it's mental, right?
Well, a lot of it is mental.
A big part of it is mental. And I remember talking to you about that over and over again in the beginning. And eventually you bought into it because, there was that moment where I was like, listen.
And then
that's the house over there.
Yeah, we could just get there. Why are you going to stop
Just get
now?
there. You're not going to die. Are you dying?
And that's what I think too. I'm like, am I going to die? And if the answer is no.
Yeah, but I messed up when I told you that, dude, because you just took that and ran with it, man.
It's true.
Am I going to die? No. Okay.
I'm going to keep running.
Let's keep doing this.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're running like 10, 12 miles and you think,
true.
How did I get here? And I like what Ricky said last week. We talked about it a little bit, which is, how did I do it? One foot in front of the other. And then and I combined the two things, what you said, which is, you can slow down. Just don't
stop, man.
And even now when I'm running, I'll go from like a pace that I know is about a 9 something minute mile. I'll bring it back down to like 12 a mile if I have to. Some days you're not feeling it,
Right.
And you just keep going.
So it's very much like, so when I'm lifting weights, right? What I'll do is, if I feel that, so let's say I feel like I'm burnt out, right?
Right.
And I still have a few reps in that set to do, I'll stop. But I won't just move on and be like, okay, cool, I didn't do all the reps for that set.
Yeah.
I'll stop for a minute and then I'll finish it out.
Exactly.
And then I'll move on.
Yeah, no, I get it. And that's what you do. You just slow down a little bit.
Just back it up a bit and then, get back on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And especially with city running too, I'll find sometimes, if I have to cross the street and it says, 5, 4, 3, it's counting down, but
right.
I don't want to wait. I'll just sprint.
Sprint across.
And when you've just ran 7 miles and then you sprint, it hurts.
I've been doing that my whole life.
Of course. Well, you're with the rocket. I mean,
first place I ever come where people are like, no cars are coming. And they like stand there for the countdown from the hand. I'm like, there's no cars coming. It's got 26 seconds. Just cross the damn street. And then I'm like, oh yeah, like slow down. like, relax. We're here for fun.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But I know.
But I'm also here for a good time, not a long time.
That's right.
So
Hey.
I like playing Frogger as a kid.
Right. But
I've adapted into its own game as an adult.
The real live Frogger. No.
I like to stay on my toes.
Absolutely. Well, and that's what I do. Like now, when I get to a light and I have to stop, I'll practice like some soccer moves, like running backwards, stopping,
I know.
running forward,
First of all,
stopping.
that shit is. I mean, oh damn! I really need to like work. But anyway, it's so irritating. Okay, I'll be like dying, and then here you are doing all these like drills and stuff. I'm like, dude, what are you running on right now?
Adrenaline and pure,
something.
I want it.
Something. At that moment, there's a lot of just. It's not envy. It's just. I don't know where it comes from.
Well, I think
I'm like, stop. You're exhausting me with your movement. That's what it is. That's how. That's what's going through my mind. I'm like, yeah.
It's that will to push myself. It's the only reason why I got to that distance. Is there's something about it. It's like embracing the suck and that feeling later on when I'm like, I didn't quit and I pushed myself, and a little bit of it is ego too. I mean, there's some ego involved in there where you're like, I'm getting this and I'm doing this and I really want to do it the best that I can.
Right.
It's that same drive that you get for like building organizations and business and stuff like that. I see it. You're like, no, we could do this halfway. But even like today, you're always coming up with new things. Like, we're going to do this and we're going to do this. And I'm like, well, we don't have to do that. Like, yeah, but that's what the best does. Like the best does this thing. So you know what? That's the way we're going to do it. And running is just my way of expressing that right now. Like I feel, because you're sort of like a personal mentor to me in that sense. And being your best and doing your best and allowing yourself to settle for less than your best, completely and totally unacceptable. If you want to be who you can be, like the best version of yourself, right? Yeah. It's like Ricky, like me and Ricky are completely different heights. Like we love different things, but there's a best version of Ricky. And the thing that we, about Ricky is he doesn't let himself just rest, right? That's the same thing with you, same thing with me. Like that's kind of what differentiates the people who get things done, who accomplish things, and people that don't. And there's some innate talent, but for the most part, it's, one foot in front of the other, man.
Yeah. So Ricky,
what up?
What was your experience like last year, man? Like, what did you get out of that whole experience?
Oh, that like
I'm just, first of all, I'm mad that I didn't get to see you hand off to Aaron, but I was already in my own corral, because if people that haven't ran these races, it's just a madhouse. There's like people everywhere. There's people, if you're going to do the relay, there's people coming in. And so you're in these corrals based on like your group, right?
Yeah.
And so I wasn't anywhere close to where Aaron was at. And you took off, a few minutes before me. So I didn't get to see you hand off. So what was it like, man?
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah.
Right? Like the whole day, like leading up to everything, I was like, oh, this is going to be ridiculous. Like I'm not prepared. I'm in my head about every decision I'm making about doing this.
Yeah.
And that was really just like the fear of the unknown.
Right.
Right.
Like, yes, I was worried about like making sure I got the right baton because everything's being tracked with this.
Right.
Like we need to make sure it goes to the right person. Who am I grabbing it from? I was like, let's do this. Like, don't even worry about it. Like, get it. Doesn't matter how long it takes for the baton to pass off. It's not like a relay. It's not like the 4x100 in the Olympics. Right. Like, we're here to do this. Like, have a good time. I started up Colfax. Get the baton. I'm like, glorious day. And some people would say it was bad.
Yeah, for some people it was kind of cold.
It was cold for me.
Our dude from Texas over here, he was definitely cold.
Okay, it was probably like high 50s with like some mist.
Mm-hmm.
It was humid for sure.
Yeah,
there was moisture in there.
But it was like overcast, so it wasn't like bright sunny humidity. It was like
it was that cold, that chilly humidity. Yeah.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah,
right?
It was good.
Just cruising, bombing, having a great time. Running down when I came out here. I stayed at a hotel on Colfax for a night, and it just so happened that the next day they were doing the marathon. This was years ago.
Oh, so way before, right?
Yeah. So, like, I had this really weird perspective on my run because I got to run past that.
Oh, wow.
And it was like 6 years ago, 5 years ago when I stayed here, I thought, like, what an inconvenience these people were because, like, I need to get around. Colfax is like a big road in Denver. Like it kind of screwed things up that day with like the marathon in my mind years ago.
Right.
But then last year doing it, I had like a complete different perspective on it.
Yeah, man, that's
it
cool.
was so cool to like be running on like Colfax Avenue.
Right.
Yeah.
Not like on the sidewalk.
Right.
Not like around neighborhoods everywhere. But like on the road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? And there's like people, and I don't know these people, and they're
they're
lining the road.
cheering
They're like
you
cheering
on.
on.
Yeah.
And like, you got him. Like, thank you.
Right?
You're all right.
I know. Dude, it's such a great vibe.
It's awesome.
Like, I want to harken back to something you said about like drinking the water.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, I did the same thing. I saw these people like hand out water. I'm like, okay, this is going to be easy. Like, I've seen 1,000 people grab these, drink it, and keep going.
Yeah.
It's going to be so easy. I grab it, try to take a drink, like almost drowned. Right?
Yes.
From like
Yeah.
a cup of water.
Yeah.
Like, there goes 30 seconds. I'm like hacking up water from my lungs. Like, what was I thinking? Just like 5 seconds, take a couple swigs, throw the rest in the trash, keep going. No, like you said that earlier, and I was like, oh, it was so great. I remember doing it.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah. Yeah. There's things you don't expect.
no, like
You know?
I had no idea.
I didn't think about that for 1 second before the race. And then it happened, and I was like,
I didn't think about it until I was choking on water. Like, this was a dumb decision.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
really poor of me.
That's funny because I remember thinking to myself, hydration's important, but in that case, I think I would have rather not.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, like you've been running, you're breathing, right? And then here's this beverage that is such a good idea. You really need it, right? Man, I'm just breathing it in instead of swallowing.
You can't breathe water.
Yeah, I mean, that didn't,
Found that
it
out
didn't,
the
it didn't, it didn't register at the moment.
Because you see it. I see what you mean. Like when you're watching on TV or you see runners, it looks like they just toss it back, right? You don't ever think that that's like
Yeah,
a
but
skill.
they know better. Yeah,
It's a skill.
exactly.
It's a skill.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I've been
not.
drinking water all my life.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
I didn't know there was more to it.
Right,
Yeah.
I'm still at the amateur level, and I've been doing this my whole life.
To survive.
Right, just to live.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm still not
Amateur.
pro at it.
Yeah. I mean, it really, and thinking back now, what a great lesson to learn. Something that small. I didn't know that I could drink water wrong.
Right? Like, if I have kids, guess what they're learning at age 4?
Right.
All right.
You're going to set up a course in
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
living
just
room.
real quick,
Be
right?
running.
Those little plastic cups, that they have. Like, all right, run through here, grab this, take a sip of it, and then keep going. No, you're going to train. Like, you're just going to do this. It's become muscle memory. Like, you're going to be all right.
Good work for today. We'll pick this up next Sunday.
Yeah, little do they know in 15 years when they're, like, out actually running in a race and people are handing them water, they're just going to be running along drinking it, not realizing that there's other people, like their father who taught them how to do this, suffered from this years ago.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Right?
Like our
Life
dude
flashed
Bob
before
says.
my eyes.
Knowledge transfer, man. Big deal.
Yeah. Huge deal.
Big deal.
Anyway, so you get there, you get past that, you get past the hacking.
Okay,
on
so you're
Colfax
past
Avenue.
the hacking. You're having this moment. You're reminiscing.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know. People say like out of body experience. Like it wasn't. It was like a total inner body experience, but it was so cool to change everything.
Yeah, man.
Like I'm running on a road that's still like foreign. Like like a road with stoplights, and I'm in the middle of like the white dotted line.
Right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the best part.
It was very. I didn't expect it to be so different because yes, it's familiar, right? So your brain's registering this is familiar territory, but you've never ran down the middle of these streets. You're usually driving down them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And one of my thoughts was like, running on the road is sick.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is way better than the sidewalks ever could be.
Yeah, true that.
Had a great time. I'm running down. I actually got to come down Colfax towards Center City, towards downtown, towards the skyscrapers, but got to go to the stadium where the Broncos play.
Okay.
Super cool, right? Coming down Colfax, make a left, let's go to the Broncos stadium. Like, what? This was so cool, right? Like, I've never been to the Broncos stadium just to like,
Yeah, that was definitely dope.
I'm going to go to the Broncos stadium when there's no game. Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
Did you get to run through it?
Nah. That would have been really cool.
Yeah, it was right before that he passed off to me.
Oh, wait, did you get to run through it? Oh, yeah. It was strange because it felt smaller than like I would imagine it would, like being down there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was interesting because I think the way that it was set up on that day we weren't running, like we couldn't see the whole field. Like,
right, you didn't run like in the middle of the field. You like went around kind of the side.
On the sides and stuff, yeah.
It was funny because I don't really remember that because I was like so nervous because I know what you mean. I ran that first mile way too fast. It's like I thought I was an Olympic runner. And I'm like passing people and I'm like, dude, I got this. And I'm just, it was funny. And then mile 2,
I definitely ran faster at that point too, but not too fast. Cause I remember telling myself, dude, chill out because
I wish I had.
You still have, this whole race
6
to go.
miles. Yeah, 6 more miles to run. Yeah.
6 more miles, which.
Oh, you ran faster at the beginning?
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, not me.
No. Yeah, I didn't.
This dude was like.
Yeah, I got too excited.
Oh, no.
I was way too excited.
Me, like, I was chilling. I was going slow.
Yeah.
At the start. And then, like, coming up to the stadium. Where, like, I could see more people. I was like,
and then you got into
pass as many people as possible right now. Let's show them what I'm really made of.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm the best runner. See me? I just passed 1,000 people back there. Yeah, they're actually, like, probably passed me and, like, got better times and everything. But I'm going to be the guy who's going to, like, sprint by them to like, show off how great I am at running.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do at the beginning. Yeah. Did you ever see one of this funny? There was, like, this little kid. I don't know. She must have been, I don't know what the minimum age is, but she must have been at the minimum age. And I remember just getting like, almost like lapped is the way I think about it, even though we're not doing laps. She just wove through and was just off. And I always think like, did she run the whole 6 miles? And how fast did she run it in? Cause I mean, I was doing like a 9:40 pace and she just passed me like I was standing still. It was kind of funny.
Hey, you know what? Actually, so you did 9:4. That was your average throughout the whole thing that day?
Yeah, well, I think 9:30, 9:40, something like that. Yeah, around that time.
So mine was 10. Ricky's about to like completely destroy us with, Mr. Longlegs over here.
Oh, get out of here.
Yeah,
it's okay. I'm just hating. There's advantages to being tall, and then there's advantages to being short, and
exactly.
Running is not one of them for us.
No, you definitely have to put a little bit more effort in, I think, for long distance running. But, a
lot more steps.
Enjoy it. Yeah, that was super exciting because I remember there's this app that they give you for the Colfax and you can track. So if somebody puts it on their phone, so Ricky had it on his phone. And so I was able to track his run as he was getting closer to the stadium.
Yeah. So that's how we were keeping track. Okay. So let's give people an idea of what this looks like, right? So it's all good. The fairies arrived. The Pixies are in the house.
Always. Wait, the Pixies are here?
Yeah.
Man, that's one of my favorite bands.
Oh, yeah.
Where's my mom?
Obviously.
Yeah.
So
all right, let's continue.
No, so like race day. So, the whole preparation for the race is like really cool. Cause first of all, when we're preparing, I remember so of course it's the legendary first runs that we did.
Sure.
And then we upped the game and we decided to run, 2.3 miles to,
the main campus.
Of where we work. So we did that. And then from there, we were like, okay, cool, let's up the game again.
Yeah.
And the plan was to do 1 mile per week, go up a mile every week or every couple weeks.
It was, at one point, it was like every couple weeks. We're going to do like half a mile a week.
But what we ended up doing was actually
just jumping.
We jumped a lot.
Yeah, because we started doing City Park.
Right.
Which was...
That's a good run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the time, and we didn't go all the way around it. We kind of went... to Farrell Lake when we were on the big lake where you do the boats that you can paddle, the paddle boats.
Mm-hmm.
And so we would start at...
Is that over by East?
Yes.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So we would actually start...
East High School, that is.
Yeah, East High School in Denver, which is really nice if you ever get a chance.
Hogwarts.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's like really back cool. From an age when they used to take some serious pride in their work.
Yeah.
I thought it was a college when I first got here. And when I found out it was a high school, I was like, what?
Harry Potter.
Yeah, for real.
No, it's really cool. Dude, first of all, I was so mad. Just a side note, I was so mad when they put that gym, the Carlo Madison Rec Center, right in front of it, because now when you come up Colfax, you don't get to see Hogwarts first. You have to look at that gym, that modern building, and then as you're driving past it, going east, that's when you actually get a good look at the school. And it's just not the same, man.
No.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
So anyway, so that was the park. We started running that route.
Right. So we started at 23rd and Washington, right? We would run up 23rd, hit the park, run around that lake, and then run back.
Right.
And we ended up doing about, I think the first time, like 3.5. Then we would kind of extend it. We were getting 4 miles.
Yeah.
And then we could do 4 or 5 miles, and then we would start. A couple times we actually took an Uber out to the stadium because Adrian and I were going to run the same route.
Well, that was towards the end, though. I remember the first time, because before we even got to race day, we ran that distance. I think what park did we go to? Was that the first time we ended up at Wash Park? Not Wash Park. What was that other park?
Cheeseman?
Was it Cheeseman Park?
Oh, yeah. I remember that because I mapped out a route where you could run.
We went
down
from
Spear.
the main campus. Remember, we took your car down to the main campus, and then we ran from there.
Oh, no, I know. Yes, I know. You're right. Yeah, I remember that. We ran.
At that point, that was our longest run.
Yes, because we ran up to 8th.
Yes.
Through Cheeseman.
Yes.
And then, yes. And then
so we
took
did
the
that
van
one.
back. Yeah.
And that was really cool.
That was fun.
But that was the day I realized that you had absolutely left me in the dust as far as, I mean, I brought you into the game and you were like, deuce.
I remember
I got a lock. I got this game in a chokehold, man, because this dude was just gazelling, man. Just.
I remember because at first I was always behind you.
Yeah, that's how it started. But then, and
then at some point,
you just needed to get there, man. You're built for this. Plus I just feel like, you tap into like dark matter somewhere in like the recesses of your spirit and brain, cause when you see a hill, you run up that thing as though, I don't know, there's something really crazy going on there, but I admire that.
Yeah, it kind of,
and it was good. It was good. It was good that what you did was, and this is part of the lesson I think we're going to talk about for other people. Mm-hmm. First of all, it really helps. Did you train alone the whole time?
Yeah.
So you trained alone, but for myself, it was really, really cool and beneficial to train with Aaron.
It was crucial.
I'm a one-man wolf pack though.
No. Right. I see you. I feel like I definitely know.
And for Ricky, you had been running,
right? Yeah, so you were used to doing your solo runs.
Yeah, and I had to have somebody push me up first. It had to be done.
So here's the thing. So us guys, we were running together, and what I really like is you reciprocated what I did for you early on, which was even when you started getting a lot better at running than I was, you made a point of like looking back to see where I'm at, not getting too far. Mm-hmm. So you could pull me if you needed to, right? And really most of the time you never really did that, but what you'd do is you'd actually like slow down and make sure you ran next to me for a while until, I don't know, Eye of the Tiger came on and you were gone, and, I knew exactly. It was funny because I remember the first time you did that and I realized I was like, yo, I think this dude, I don't know what song just came on, but he is really feeling it right now. He was Ghost.
You want to know what song does that to me?
Yeah. What's that?
All of the Lights by Kanye West.
Really?
That song, like, right? Like, it could come on right now. We're all sitting. I'm getting up and out. Right? Because it starts off with, like, just the music part for, like, a minute.
Yeah, the instrumental.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Gets you all wound
that's
up.
Good.
Yeah.
And then,
it's got, like, rocky, quality to it, right? With the horns and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, that or Fergalicious, right? Right?
That's funny.
Fergalicious, right? I'll just get
on it, huh?
Right. Like, just, come on. Look, if you can sit here and tell me that song just like doesn't get your like blood flowing a little bit,
something may be wrong with
you. I haven't really tried it, running.
Me neither. You know what did it for me? What does it for me? It's AC/DC. It's a long way to the top, right?
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I can't do. Okay, so
well, you listen, and that's what's interesting about Adrian is tell him what you listen to when you're running.
Do I listen to audiobooks, man? Because
podcasting now, I listen to podcasts.
Oh, really?
So the thing is, when it comes to running, if I put on one of my mixes or whatever it is, like playlists, the up and down of all the tempos and all that stuff, it's just not. It kind of, my mind is way too easy to distract and like snap out of my mode.
Yeah,
and therefore I much
You much prefer
I
to
prefer
listen to the
you
words,
know, something, because they're talking at a rather steady, tempo and, volume and everything.
Yeah.
And so that works for me. I can zone out to it and just listen.
Well, that's what's funny. So now I can't listen to like AC/DC, or I can't listen to that mix, because when you're running 10 or 12 miles, I don't want to sprint for 3/4 of a mile and lose all my energy. And
right. It sets the pace.
So now there's this band that Adrian isn't a huge fan of that I absolutely love. They're called Lord Huron.
Yeah.
And it's sort of new. Lord Huron. You should check them out.
You don't want to know.
They're fantastic.
I believe what you said.
Well, you two have more of the same taste.
Doesn't matter. We have more of the same taste in life, because everything that he said about
the big dog loves it. I'm just saying. Jacob's a fan.
Yeah, but dude, he's like a professor of music.
Genius. Yeah, he's like a musical genius. But anyway, so
I feel like right there you try to compare yourself to Big Dog Man, like that's something you just don't do. Like, I'm sorry, there's like a firm stance on that.
No, absolutely, I feel you. No, I thought I knew musical trivia until I started talking to him about it, and I was like, you just blew me out of the water. But no, the thing about it is, I enjoy the songs, but what's mainly important is they're all sort of the same tempo. Right? There's some upbeat songs and some that are slower, but it's a steady pace, enjoyable music that I can like put on. I have about 4 albums and I can just listen to all of it together. And by the time I'm done, I'm pretty much done with my run. But you know what I'm going to start doing, because you talked about it earlier, was I really enjoy some Beethoven and some longer songs that are just instrumental, right? Harmonic or philharmonic orchestras, that kind of thing. So
Explosions in the Sky, check them out, man. You might dig them.
I definitely will. Explosions in the Sky. Okay. And so what I think is, when I'm at home, I don't listen to that a whole lot because it takes 15, 20 minutes to listen to a song. And oftentimes I'm busy. I'm at work when I'm listening to music. But man, when I'm running, I could like listen to a whole symphony and totally enjoy it. And I had never really considered that until you brought it up. So I'm going to try that maybe tomorrow, actually. I'm going to try that tomorrow. I'm going to let y'all know how it goes. It should be fun.
Yeah, man.
I dare you to.
Yeah. My favorite symphony, Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. Nice. I think I'm going to listen to it tomorrow. Yeah.
Do you know, I found out something about classical music. So one of the benefits of listening to classical music is the frequency that they record it at.
Really?
It's 420 hertz, I believe. It's a lot more soothing and calming. And that's why so many people like to listen to it when they're just kind of chilling out, like,
That is interesting.
In the house. I started listening to it in the morning with some of our guys, and guess what? They responded very well.
Interesting.
They were like, dude, I love that classic music in the morning.
I'm going to try that.
So that's one of the things I do.
Oh, okay.
I try to, no. Feel free to, but
okay.
I always try and find different things, different ways to get, all of us started on the right foot.
Yeah, I know a lot of times you would do TED Talks and stuff, and that's always fascinating.
TED Talks and
there's some motivational stuff.
Whatever is positive, get us going, started.
It's a good thing.
Started at the beginning of the day. I like it, man. Yeah. So we've talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, we covered
as usual. The conversation veered from place to place.
Loved it.
It's great, yeah, and people are really responding well. I mean, sometimes we're a little bit hard on ourselves,
sure.
About this and that.
And I'm so glad that Ricky came back and talked to us this week.
Reggaeton.
Oh yeah, the rocket.
I did go down that ultra marathon wormhole where I feel like I was quiet for like 15 minutes. I was just digging in there. It was great.
That's awesome, man.
These people run so much.
I just can't even believe the kind of mental fortitude.
Yeah.
But I want it. You know what it tells me? I want to get there. Like I kind of want to feel that feeling.
I will document that. That's my place in all of
I'm
that.
with him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Right?
We'll just be film crew, water and stuff. We'll make sure you don't choke.
I'll run from the car to the location and back like a bunch of times. I promise. Like I promise I won't mess that up, but
I really
100-mile race.
Well, let's start off with. Let me just do a marathon. So coming up, try 13-1, right? Which I should be able to do, no problem. And then next year, over the course of the year, I want to push to like 26. So I'm hoping that by the time next year comes around, I can do 26, and it's not a big deal, right? Just be in that mode, and from there, man, we'll just see if I can't push forward. I don't know, I have some knee issues and some stuff, so there may be some structural things. But you know what? If it's really just about your mental fortitude, then I'm gonna go.
I think
I want to go.
I think
right
what
now.
I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take up.
I'm gonna go running right now.
I'm gonna go bike riding. I think I want to take that.
Oh yeah, that's some fun stuff. I used to love that.
I think I can do that long term. Running, I do once in a while for the same reason I did it last year, right? To challenge myself mentally. It's not that I can't do that, riding bicycles also. And I plan to, I'm just going to. So I was talking to Aaron about this the other day, and I was like, the crazy thing about running is, I know a guy who used to ride road bikes and he used to race and everything, right? And when he'd be in training season, sometimes he'd find himself so far away, right? He just zoned out and he's like, snap, man, now I have to make it back. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. and he would, right? Now the thing is, if you do that when you're running, it's a totally different ballgame because you have to use your feet.
Absolutely.
At least you can use, when you're on a bike, you can kind of coast. You know what I'm saying? When you've ran,
there's no coasting.
Oh man. Yeah.
No. There's
Uber or something.
If you're lucky enough to have your phone with you.
That's true.
Yeah. Right? Like, I don't bring my phone anymore.
Oh.
Right?
Man.
Where do you keep all your music?
Yeah,
Is it on like your watch? You got the Apple Watch?
I got it on the watch.
Gotcha.
Nice,
Gotcha.
So it's like having an iPad or iPod.
That's interesting. So they don't have Uber.
Cool.
You can't call Uber with your.
I'm sure you can.
I'm sure you could set it.
So you can use your phone, right? Because it has GPS. It has all that
I just
stuff.
don't have it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've never even
which
thought
is probably
about that.
a good thing, right?
Right.
So to be lazy, like I have my car 3 blocks away. Like,
Dude, I wish remember the show Knight Rider? I wish I could just call my car on my phone and it would just drive over to wherever I was at and pick me up.
Oh, certainly.
That would be super awesome. Yeah. Shout out to Elon Musk if you could get on that, please.
Yeah, so we've talked about a lot of things. Let's try and wrap it up here. So
sure, yeah.
If we're going to teach people anything about running, what's your contribution?
I'm going to say at that moment when you feel like you can't go further, remember that that's really in your head. Unless you actually have a physical pain, you can keep running. And once you get to that place and know that you can, the sky's the limit. That's what I would say.
Okay, I like that. So push through.
Push through.
Push through the wall, the mental wall.
Yes.
Now, I will add something to that. We're not doctors and medical professionals.
Correct.
If you have some kind of physical, limitations, anything that can keep you, or if it'll do harm.
Yes.
Okay. If pushing through will do harm, please refrain from doing that.
yeah, don't do it.
Yeah.
Absolutely don't do it. We're not recommending that you hurt yourself.
That's correct.
Let's just
and very quickly, let me also say that before you engage in any intense activity, any physical activity that's new for you, you should get a checkup from your doctor.
Absolutely. Consult your doctor about that. So, Ricky.
Yes.
What's your contribution? What do you want to tell people about, who might be looking to get into this running life?
I would say never get discouraged or get down on yourself. There's always another day.
Right on.
If that means you try to set a goal of running for 10 minutes, right? No distance, but you only go 7. That's great. You still got out for 7 minutes.
True.
Right on.
It may be 7 more than you've ever done before.
Exactly. So what I'm saying is don't get discouraged if you don't think you're doing well enough.
Right.
Because it is an evolutionary process. Absolutely.
I like that a lot. It's an evolutionary process. Remember to give yourself some grace. We've talked about that in the podcast before. Okay. Giving yourself some grace is really important. Okay. We're our worst critics.
Sure.
Right. And we can really be more kind to ourselves. And maybe we'll talk about that, in length, some other time.
Sure.
Being kind to yourself. Right. So do your best. That way you don't have, anything to be, mad about.
Absolutely.
Always try and do your best. I like that a lot.
What do you have for us?
Well, I would say that one of the things that's easy to overlook is, and I said this before, is the journey, right? It's not necessarily so I remember when we were getting ready to do the Colfax Marathon last year, and even this year, I was like, hey, Aaron, let's see what the medals look like.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Whatever your motivation is, right? Use it. It's fuel.
Sure.
Okay. As long as it's not going to do harm to you or to others, use that as fuel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And part of it for me was, hey, I'm going to get something, right? Something tangible.
Yeah.
Right. And that was in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Now, at the end, it's interesting to to think that once you've done the race on that day, it's exciting. It happens so fast, right? And then it's gone.
And it's over.
Believe it or not, that day is not the best part of any of it for me. It absolutely isn't. Because by the time we were doing the race, we already said this earlier, we had already ran that distance and some.
We ran that route.
We ran more, I believe the longest that time we ran through,
it was like 7.5 miles.
It was 7.5 miles. So I knew that I could do it. So the day of was a formality, right? I was just going to, see through what I had already, set out to do. So the journey and what I learned about myself and what I learned about what I'm capable of, not just for myself, but for others, right? Because it was a team effort. That was another layer to the whole thing that was really, really cool. That was what I really, really took away from all of that.
Yeah.
And it includes all the things that, you guys have mentioned.
Yeah, that we've all talked about. Yeah. Yeah.
So the journey.
Yeah.
That's where the juice is at, man.
Agreed.
That's what I remember about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Every single bead of sweat. Every time we went running down Santa Fe on those windy days in spring, right? And we're running and it's so windy and we're running into the wind and it's blowing our headphones, our earphones out of our ears and almost off of us, right? It's so irritating. Like it's distracting.
It's awful.
It's horrible.
Right.
It's awful.
But then you look back and that's the part you love. Yeah.
It's part of the journey. And that's what you remember.
Yeah.
It's
Life is what happens on the way.
On the way.
Yeah. Agreed.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
Like I talked about falling on that run earlier.
Yeah.
I don't remember the rest of the run.
Right. You remember the fall.
You remember the fall.
And getting the back up.
Yep.
Right?
Journey.
Absolutely.
It's good stuff, man.
So, if you decide to do it, it's absolutely worth it. The journey is very, 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 very telling and I can't stress enough how worth it is.
Absolutely. And just to let everybody know, let's say you hear this and this has invigorated you, this has inspired you, this has motivated you. Join the community on the website. Let us know. Let us be a part of your journey. On your way.
So we actually don't talk about a lot of things on the website currently.
Sure.
Feel free to find us wherever you listen to podcasts at.
Yeah.
Follow us or subscribe. It depends on what platform you are. It's called, some call it following, some call it, subscribing.
Sure.
Do so.
Yeah.
Leave a comment about what you think about the podcast.
Yeah,
if you have any suggestions, please leave them there. And join us on Facebook and on Instagram.
Yeah.
You can find us at TWOTEACHONE on Facebook and Instagram. Our website is www.teach1.com.
Yeah.
Okay. Join the discussion.
Yeah. Come on in.
If you have something to say, criticisms, whatever it may be.
Oh yeah, we're down for some criticism too.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, come at me, bro.
Absolutely.
Tell us what you think.
You can find Aaron on Facebook at
well, it's my name, right? AARON, WITHEREL. Please send me a friend request. Tell me what you think about what I'm doing, and let me know how I can do it better. Right? I'm down to make new friends, to meet attractive single women. Just throwing that out there, and let me know what's up. I'm just saying. No one is
single
caged
and ready to
No
mingle.
one has caged this tiger yet. I'm just saying.
All right. And Ricky, they can find you where?
At Eastern Tower on Twitter.
All right.
Eastern Tower and the other places.
So at Eastern Tower. Across the board.
Across the board.
All right. You can find me on Facebook at Adrian, Adrian, last name Gethenji, Gethenji.
You almost misspelled your last name there, dude.
That's pretty funny.
So there's a story behind that, and I'll tell you off air.
Oh, okay, cool. Mystery. Tune in next week, learn the story.
So yeah, I know it's weird, right? The guy almost misspelled his own name. So you can find me on Facebook at Adrian Gethenji. That's Adrian. Last name Gethenji. On Instagram, my handle is AD_Gethenji, Gethenji.
I need to get an Instagram account.
Remember when you were the Cluse? That was so great.
I've never stopped being the Clues man.
No, but I mean, like that
was my handle.
Yeah,
I know.
No, he's known as the groomer, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm known as many things.
He's a man of many talents.
Just depends. It depends on what's going on at the time. All right. Well, you know what? It's been really, really fun.
It's been a blast, man.
Again, please let us know what you think about what we're doing. And if you want to get involved in running, definitely do it. There are groups that train together. If you're trying to, like, you know, if you don't have someone in your life that's going to train with you, you can go online and search in the Denver area or whatever city you're in, wherever you're at.
Dude, hit me up. I'll run with you.
Yeah, if you want to run, there's people, you know, the meetups, you know, they go and do runs and stuff. You can hit up Aaron. You can definitely run with him. I may join you. Eastern Tower may join us. Although
you never know.
You never know. He's a wolf pack of one.
It's this time of year though, where I just I'll just go on runs.
Hey man, it's beautiful, especially in the evenings, man.
Oh, it's amazing. I love Denver.
So do it. If you're thinking about it, you're on the fence, you know, at least try it.
Yeah.
You never know.
So, I'm just going to say goodbye. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to encourage everyone again to do all the things we've talked about. You know, my name is Aaron Witherell. It's been a pleasure to talk to you today. I'm really happy that I got to hang out with some of my really good friends, Ricky and Adrian. And everybody have a good week, and please listen for our next episode.
All right. We're off to have some dinner at the Denver Diner.
Oh, yeah.
Probably not there, but we're going to eat some.
We hungry.
We hungry. All right.
See y'all next week.
Later.